Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttam shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 26, a description of the hellish planets. Text number 29 onwards. Translation. So Shukdev Goswami is further speaking about more hellish planets. Any Brahman or Brahman's wife who drinks liquor is taken by the agents of Yamraj to the hell known as Ayahapana. This hell also awaits any Kshatriya, Vaishya or person under a vow who in illusion drinks somras. Of course, somras here means the liquor, not the somras that devatas drink. In Ayapan, the agents of Yamraj stand on their chests and pour hot melted iron into their mouths. One should not be a Brahman in name only and engage in all kinds of sinful activities, especially drinking liquor. Brahmans, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas must behave according to the principles of their order. If they fall down to the level of Shudras who are accustomed to drink liquor, they will be punished as described herein. So anybody, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Brahman, especially Brahman or Brahman's wife also, drinks liquor. So they Yamadutas stand on their chest and pour hot melted iron into their mouths. Have fun. Then they cannot say, let's do bottoms up or cheers or whatever. Text 30. A low-born and abominable person who in this life becomes falsely proud, thinking I am great, and who thus fails to show proper respect to one more elevated than he by birth, austerity, education, behavior, caste, or spiritual order, is like a dead man live even in this lifetime, and after death he is thrown head first into the hell known as Kshar Kardam. There he must suffer great tribulations at the hands of agents of Yamaraj. One should not become falsely proud. One must be respectful towards a person more elevated than he by birth, education, behavior, caste, or spiritual order. If one does not show respect to such highly elevated persons, but indulges in false pride, he receives punishment in Kshar Kardam, hell. Text 31. There are men and women in this world who sacrifice human beings to Bhairav or Bhadrakali and then eat their victims' flesh. Those who perform such sacrifices are taken after death to the abode of Yamaraj, where their victims, having taken the form of Rakshasas, cut them to pieces with sharpened swords. Just as in this world the man-eaters drag their victims' blood, dancing and singing in jubilation, their victims now enjoy drinking the blood of the sacrificers and celebrating in the same way. So you cannot run away. Text 32. In this life, some people give shelter to animals and birds that come to them for protection in the village or forest, and after making them believe that they will be protected, such people pierce them with lances or threads and play with them like toys, giving them great pain. And many people do that. After death, such people are brought by the assistance of Yamraj to the hell known as Shulaprot, where their bodies are pierced with sharp needle-like lances. They suffer from hunger and thirst, and sharp-beaked birds such as vultures and herons come at them from all sides to tear at their bodies. Tortured and suffering, they can then remember the sinful activities they committed in the past. Text 33. Those who in this life are like envious serpents, always angry and giving pain to other living entities, fall after death into the hell known as Dandashuka. My dear king, in this hell there are serpents with 5 or 7 hoods. These serpents eat such sinful persons just as snakes eat mice. So they don't bite him, they just eat them. Text 34. Those who in this life confine their living entities in dark wells, granaries, or mountain caves are put after death into the hell known as Avat Nirodhan. There they themselves are pushed into dark wells where poisonous fumes and smoke suffocate them, and they suffer very severely. And I'm sure we commit different kinds of sinful activities, not just one kind. So just imagine how many different hells we have to go through and suffer severely. A householder. Now this is very important for all of us. So we read about if a householder doesn't share his food with others. Now, a householder who receives guests or visitors with cruel glances, as if to burn them to ashes, is put into the hell called Paryavartan, where he is gazed at by hard-eyed vultures, herons, crows, and similar birds, which suddenly swoop down and pluck out his eyes with great force. Perfect. According to Vedic etiquette, even an enemy who comes to a householder's home should be received in such a gentle way that he forgets that he has come to the home of an enemy. A guest who comes to one's home should be received very politely. If he is unwanted, the householder should not stare at him with blinking eyes, for one who does so will be put into the hell known as Paryavartan after death, and there many ferocious birds like vultures, crows, and cockneys will suddenly come upon him and pluck out his eyes. So Atithi Devo Bhava. But these days, of course, now there could be some miscreants who want to do some mischief, who comes to the house. But if a guest who comes, then one has to be very gentle. At least receive him politely. Text 36. One who in this world or this life is very proud of his wealth, always thinks, I'm so rich, who can equal me? His vision is twisted and he's always afraid that someone will take his wealth. Indeed, he even suspects his superiors. His face and heart dry up at the thought of losing his wealth, and therefore he always looks like a wretched fiend. He is not in any way able to obtain actual happiness and does not know what it is to be free from anxiety. Because of the sinful things he does to earn money, augment his wealth, and protect it, he is put into the hell called Shuchi Mukha, where the officials of Yamaraj punish him by stitching thread through his entire body like weavers manufacturing cloth. Wow. When one possesses more wealth than necessary, he certainly becomes more proud, very proud. This is the situation of men in modern civilization. According to the Vedic culture, Brahmins do not possess anything, whereas Kshatriyas possess riches, but only for performing sacrifices and other noble activities as prescribed in the Vedic injunctions. A Vaishya also earns money honestly through agriculture, cow protection, and some trade or business. If a Shudra gets money, however, he will spend it lavishly without discrimination or simply accumulate it for no purpose. Because in this age there are no qualified Brahmins, Kshatriyas, or Vaishyas, almost everyone is a Shudra. Therefore, the Shudra mentality is causing great harm to modern civilization. A Shudra does not know how to use money to render transcendental loving service to the Lord. Money is also called Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is always engaged in the service of Narayan. Wherever there is money, it must be engaged in the service of Lord Narayan. Everyone should use his money to spread the great transcendental movement of Krishna consciousness. If one does not spend money for this purpose, but accumulates more than necessary, he will certainly become proud of the money he illegally possesses. The money actually belongs to Krishna, who says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram yagitapsa. I am the true enjoyer of sacrifices and penances, and I am the owner of all the planets. Therefore, nothing belongs to anyone but Krishna. One who possesses more money than he needs should spend it for Krishna. Unless one does so, he will become puffed up because of his false possessions, and therefore he will be punished in the next life, as described herein. So one who earns too much money and becomes proud of it, and then obviously he disrespects others. So what they do is Yamdutas, they stitch thread through his entire body like weavers manufacturing cloth. Wow. Text 37. My dear King Parikshit, in the province of Yamraj, there are hundreds and thousands of hellish planets. The impious people I have mentioned, and also those I have not mentioned, must all enter in these various planets according to the degree of their impiety. Those who are pious, however, enter other planetary systems, namely the planets of the demigods. Nevertheless, both the pious and impious are again brought to earth after the results of their pious or impious acts are exhausted. So it just goes in a cycle. This corresponds to the beginning of Lord Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita. Tatha dehantara prapti. Within this material world, one is simply meant to change from one body to another in different planetary systems. Those in the mode of goodness are elevated to the heavenly planets. Adho gachanti tamsa. Similarly, those who are too engrossed in ignorance enter the hellish planetary systems. Both of them, however, are subjected to the repetition of birth and death. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that even one who is very pious returns to earth after his enjoyment in the higher planetary systems is over. Therefore, going from one planet to another does not solve the problems of life. The problems of life will only be solved when we no longer have to accept a material body. This can only be possible if one simply becomes Krishna conscious. So as long as we have a material body, it's going to give us pain. It is going to we have to go through suffering. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukh, Dosha, Anudarshanam. So real knowledge is to see this pain, the miseries, which are Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, birth, death, old age, and disease. So Krishna says, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. O Arjuna. This is the perfection of life and the real solution to life's problems. We should not be eager to go to the higher heavenly planetary systems, nor should we act in such a way that we have to go to the hellish planets. The complete purpose of this material world will be fulfilled when we resume our spiritual identities and go back home, back to contact. The very simple method for doing this is prescribed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarva Dharman Parityaj. One should be neither pious nor impious. One should be a devotee and surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna. This surrendering process is also very easy. Even a child can perform it. One must always simply think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. One should become Krishna's devotee, worship him, and offer obeisances to him. Thus, one should engage all the activities of his life in the service of Lord Krishna. So, otherwise, if we are not becoming devotees, if we are not devotees, then Brahmanda Brahmite, then we have to go throughout the whole Brahmand, different species, different planets, different births. So Shukdev Goswami further says, in the beginning, the second and third cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, I have already described how one can progress on the path of liberation. In the Puranas, a vast universal existence, which is like an egg divided into 14 parts, is described. This vast form is considered the external body of the Lord, created by his energy and qualities. It is generally called the Virata Rupa. If one reads a description of this external form of the Lord with great faith, or if one hears about it or explains it to others to propagate Bhagavad Dharma or Krishna consciousness, his faith in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, will gradually increase. Although developing this consciousness is very difficult, by this process, one can purify himself and gradually come to an awareness of the supreme absolute truth. So this is the whole process. If one reads a description of this external form, the Virat Rupa also is the external form, but one who reads it with great faith, or if one hears about it or explains it to others, his faith and devotion in Krishna consciousness will gradually increase. The Prabhupada says the Krishna consciousness movement is pushing forward the publication of Srimad Bhagavatam, as explained especially for the understanding of the modern civilized man, to awaken him to his original consciousness. Without this consciousness, one melts into complete darkness. Whether one goes to the upper planetary systems or the hellish planetary systems, he simply wastes his time. Therefore, one should hear of the universal position of the Virat form of the Lord, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. That will help one save himself from material conditional life and gradually elevate him to the path of liberation, so that he can go back home, back to Godhead. So the point is just engage in devotional service. Text 39. Shrutva sthulam tata suksham yurupam bhagavato yati sthule nirjitam atmanam shanah sukshmam dhiya nayediti. One who is interested in liberation, who accepts the path of liberation and is not attracted to the path of conditional life, is called a yati, or a devotee. Such a person should first control his mind by thinking of the Virat Rupa, the gigantic universal form of the Lord, and then gradually think of the spiritual form of Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, after hearing of both the forms. Thus, one's mind is fixed in samadhi. By devotional service, one can then realize the spiritual form of the Lord, which is the destination of devotees. Thus, his life becomes successful. It is said, Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimukti. If one wants to progress on the path of liberation, he should associate with Mahatmas, so liberated devotees, because in such association there is a chance for hearing, describing, and chanting about the name, form, qualities, and paraphernalia of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all of which are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. On the path of bondage, one eternally undergoes the repetition of birth and death. One who desires liberation from such bondage should join the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and thus take advantage of the opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from devotees and also explain it to propagate Krishna consciousness. So this is the only way to make one's life successful, by engaging in devotion service. Again and again, this is a message of Bhagavatam we hear. Text 40. My dear king, I have now described for you this planet Earth, other planetary systems and their lands, varshas, rivers, and mountains. I have also described the sky, the oceans, the lower planetary systems, the directions, the hellish planetary systems, and the stars. These constitute the Virat Rupa, the gigantic material form of the Lord, on which all living entities repose. Thus, I've explained the wonderful expanse, the external body of the Lord. Thus ends the 5th canto, 26th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, in fact, it ends the whole 5th canto. Prabhupada adds, there is a supplementary note written by His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada in his Gaudiya Bhashya. Its translation is as follows. Now, knowing the English of Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, it's very tough. Let's see Prabhupada how he has translated. Learned scholars who have full knowledge of all the Vedic scriptures agree that the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are innumerable. These incarnations are classified into two divisions called Parabhav and Vaibhav. According to the scriptures, Parabhav incarnations are also classified in two divisions, those which are called eternal and those which are not vividly described in this 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. In chapters 3 through 6, there is a description of Rishabdeva, but there is not an expanded description of his spiritual activities. Therefore, he is considered to belong to second group of Prabhav incarnations. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, chapter 3, verse 13, it is said, Lord Vishnu appeared in the 8th incarnation as the son of Maharaj Nabhi, the son of Agnitra and his wife Meru Devi. He showed the path of perfection, the Paramhamsa stage of life, which is worshipped by all followers of Varnashram Dharma. Rishabdev is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his body is spiritual. Therefore, one might ask how it might be possible that he passed stool and urine. The Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya Baldev Vidyabhushan has replied to this question in his book known as Siddhanta Ratna. Imperfect men call attention to Rishabdev's passing stool and urine as a subject matter for the study of non-devotees who do not understand the spiritual position of a transcendental body. So, like Rishabdev stated in 5th canto, 5th chapter, 19th verse, this body of mine is inconceivable for materialists. So the activities of Rishabdev, or before that Prabhupada writes, so even though he superficially seemed to pass stool and urine, that was also transcendental and cannot be imitated by any common man. It's also stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that the stool and urine of Rishabdev were full of transcendental fragrance. One may imitate Rishabdev, but he cannot imitate him by passing stool that is fragrant. So, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan remarks that in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is another description of Rishabdev, but that Rishabdev is different from the one described in this canto. So, little more explanation about Rishabdev. So, thus ends the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hari Bol. Just one point I wanted to make about this hellish planets. I know everybody was so scared and so bewildered listening to the description. But one thing that we have to understand, so suppose it was mentioned one who kills animals and eats their flesh, or he cheats a Brahman or drinks liquor or does so many activities, then he goes to hell. But this one point is, it's not like if I kill chicken and eat it, immediately I'll go to hell. The karma I have performed already, but the punishment is not immediate. So sometimes people wonder that, oh, so and so is so sinful. How come he's not getting the reaction? How come he's not getting the punishment? It's not up to us to decide when, how, where, how much he's going to get punished. It's not up to us to decide. Moreover, by seeing that somebody else is very, very sinful, maybe for time being he is utilizing the bank balance of pious activities that he has performed previously. But everything one does is noted. Everything. And even on top of all this, there comes the merciful nature of the Lord. It's not that the Lord doesn't know what is happening. He knows everything. Everything is noted by Chitragupta and his assistants, and we'll read in Ajamil's case who all makes a note. But it's his merciful nature. He's so full of mercy for all his creation. We all are part and parcel of Krishna. So his merciful nature, what he does, he still gives us a chance to rectify ourselves. Okay, you committed the sin, great, fine. Now don't do it, rectify yourself. Till the time of death, he gives us a chance to rectify ourselves. That's his mercy, nothing else. And when he incarnates, he comes to perform his pastimes, he shows more mercy, much, much, much more mercy. By doing what? By performing his wonderful, beautiful, transcendental, super sweet pastimes to attract us. He knows if we get attracted towards him, the inclination to commit sinful acts will be gone. And as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu, when they came here, they knew Kali Yuga means full of sinful people. That's it. Full of sinful people. So he gives a very easy process. Just chant. And chanting Hare Krishna, it is said in the scriptures, one name of Krishna, if chanted with a pure heart, just one name. Every day we chant so many names. Hare Krishna Mahamantra has 16 names in one Mahamantra, and we do 16 rounds. So I think Nirja Mataji had posted the other day, we chant about 25,000 names every day. One name of Krishna chanting is so powerful that it can nullify all the sinful reactions that we have committed over all the lifetimes. Not just committed, even thought of committing. Just one name of Krishna is so powerful. What to speak of chanting 25,000 names every day. So yes, the hellish planets are there, the sinful activities are there, but even the sinful activity, he doesn't give us a reaction right away. He still gives us a chance to rectify. That's his mercy, nothing else. So anyway, we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mata.
Prabhuji, भी थोड़े दिनों पहले हरी सेवनी माता जी
कौन माता जी?
Nitai Sevli Mataji is from, I think,
Okay.
So she was explaining on these karmas, why we don't get immediate reaction or action on the karmas what we do. So she was giving example of जैसे हम लोग some seeds we क्रॉप्स के लिए तो some plants take a few days, months, some take years to grow. So this is how farmers go. For few farmers, some farmers we get any good action or reaction. कुछ अच्छा किया और उसके बाद हमारे साथ भी कुछ अच्छा हो जाता है. And some farmers like जैसे plants they take years to grow. She was giving the example of mango tree. She said mango tree takes almost about 10 or 15 years to give the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
So she was just connecting, our those plants का जो seeds हम डालते हैं उससे this is बहुत अच्छे से explain. She was quite clear. जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं ना कि अभी तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला बाद में देखेंगे. Then she was saying कि मतलब अर्थ से वरदान मिला हुआ है कि जब भी बारिश का सीजन होगा वो कुछ भी अपने पास नहीं छुपाएगी. नो मैटर जितना भी है वो जब भी बारिशों का मौसम होगा वो सब ग्रो हो जाएंगे. वेदर दैट्स कोई भी प्लांट हो, घास है, कोई प्लांट है, कोई फ्रूट है, फ्लावर्स हैं, वो तो ऑन दिस व्हाटएवर टू डू कभी ना कभी वो आ जाएंगे सामने हमारे. And another example she was giving कि जैसे हम किसी को देखते हैं कि वो दुखी है और हम लोग कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है तो हमारे साथ तो कुछ होएगा नहीं. तो चक्की गेहूं जब पिसती है दाने उछल के बाहर आ जाते हैं. तो जो दाने जो होते हैं वो सोचते हैं कि हम तो बच गए, हम नहीं पिसे. बट शी वाज सेइंग सुपर, वो किसी को छोड़ेगी नहीं. एंड वो इतना महीन पीसती है
वो भी है ना, सुनते हैं ना भगवान की चक्की पीसती है बहुत महीन, हल्के हल्के पीसती है, बड़ा महीन पीसती है.
बहुत महीन पीसती है. एंड जो दाने उछल के बाहर आ जाते हैं वो सोचते हैं कि हम बच गए, बट वो बचते नहीं है. वो सेकंड राउंड में, थर्ड राउंड में आ ही जाएंगे. बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन कर रही थी. एंड वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. I just wanted to share that.
No, that's nice. That's very nice. Chalo, even Parikshit Maharaj, after listening to this description, even he got bewildered. So next canto starts with that only. Even he got like scared. No, how all these conditioned souls they'll be saved? This is the nature of a devotee. So anyway, we'll start that tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mata. Thank you all very much. Thank you all. All of us safe. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhuji.
Jai Shri Prabhuji.